Hi, my name is Kyle Hirschfeld, and I'm here to talk to you today about Aaron Shalev's book, the first chapter, American Zion, the Old Testament as a Political Text from the Revolution to the Civil War. I was drawn to this because I thought it was fascinating that people in the Revolutionary era drew upon the Bible for inspiration, both in their political and in military rhetoric. A few quotes that stood out for me from Shalev's text were that the Revolutionary era Americans frequently discussed, adapted, and absorbed the fundamentals of classical republicanism through Old Testament narratives and figures. Um, Further, people in New England viewed the Great Migration of the 1630s as the equivalent of the Old Testament Exodus. So they were drawing upon biblical stories to really figure out who they were as a people, the colonial Americans were. Um, and further than that, apparently they were not, as American commentators appealed to, a godly republicanism, in which virtue was not restricted to its civic terms, but expanded to encompass religiosity. Revolutionary clergymen thus wedded constitutions and piety, virtue and religion, and blamed the derailment of godly constitution on ungodly conduct. Um, so these ideas kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to figure out further, which was why are Americans so drawn to the Bible in kind of reaffirming who they were as an early nation. Matthew Hill reviewed From God of Liberty, Religious History of the American Revolution by Thomas S. Kidd, and in it he says that the confluence of Republican and Calvinist doubts about human nature merged into the framework of the Constitution. And furthermore, Kidd does not deny the political and economic realities of the war, but argues that the evangelical tradition supplied the spiritual propulsion to the patriot cause that was unsurpassed by any other element of patriot ideology. So patriots, colonials, they were very, very much in favor of using the Bible as the basis and the impetus for their constitutional values. Nicholas Tyak's Revolutionary Puritanism in Anglo-American Perspective says that Christian liberty as a political rallying cry also had a long career ahead of it, reaching something of a climax in the 1770s. Thus, it has been calculated that Galatians 5:1 was among the most popular scriptural passages during the American Revolution, as it was taught that civil liberty is as much the gift of God in Christ Jesus as spiritual liberty. So the idea that civilians, the people, had the right to freedoms was a biblical right, according to Nicholas Tyack. And lastly, Sarah J. Purcell's Spread This Martial Fire, the New England Patriot Clergy and Civil Military Inspiration, argued that clergymen, in preaching to the troops of the Americans, were not just valuable but necessary. So clergymen all over New England between 1774 and 1776 preached to troops with similar messages about the dire necessity which impelled them to fight their British parents. So these were very much people drawing upon the Bible, both Old and New Testaments, to fight against the British and to establish liberties and traditions which would find their way into the United States Constitution as it stands today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.